All right, so in this training, we're going to talk about how to sell AI services. It's going to be very simple, to the point, and just cover the areas of services, if you will, that I've been talking about selling over the past teachings and lessons, and what we focus on as an AI business, AI agency selling services to local businesses, okay? So first and foremost, we're going to start with our foot in the door offer, right? We already know that's AI websites. If not, check out one of the dozens of other videos that literally are walking through the process of selling AI websites as a foot in the door to local businesses. The reason why we sell AI built websites is, first and foremost, we use a foot in the door results first strategy. And the reason why it's just an easier way to sell if I'm especially when I'm just getting started, okay? There's a lot of marketing people out there selling all kinds of things, Facebook ads and Google ads. We sell that, email marketing, text marketing, all this stuff, or AI this, AI that. And in the end, business owners, having been a business owner before I started an AI agency or an agency, and I started a service-based business, and I had a physical kind of brick and mortar type business. And just knowing business owners and talking to business owners over the years, most small business owners operate this way. They have an idea that they want to be a business owner, and they have the idea of the type of business that they want to start. And they say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then they start planning it all out. Okay. They pick their business name. They start doing all these things. And then they get to the point, there's a lot of excitement. They get to the point of opening up the business, and they're like, all right, I'm open. And then it's like, all right, now what? Oh, how do I get customers? Majority of the business owners, including me, back in the day, that's how I thought. But one of the first three things that a business owner thinks of after they decide to start a business and they have their business idea is they all know magically, we're all born with it, I guess, that we need to have a website for our business, right? That's one of the first thoughts. And so that happens no matter what, whether they build it themselves using a GoDaddy builder or whatever, some kind of thing. They throw something together their best way they can, use a template or something. Or they have a friend of a cousin of a sister's friend that knows somebody that does websites on the side, and they pay the dude in his, cousin's mom's basement to build it for them, and they pay him $100 or something to put something together. Or they scrape enough money together and get something, and they get launched and get it done. But one of the things that they very rarely do is they say, okay, we're going to need some marketing here. We're going to need some Facebook ads. We're going to need to get out on Facebook and social media. We're going to do now. Sometimes, some of them say, oh, we need to start an Instagram or whatever. We'll just post on Instagram. Like that's the extent of the digital marketing and advertising plan that they put together. Most of it is a budget of zero, and most of it is just like random things that they can just think of off the top of their head. Okay. But what they always do is get a website and figure that part out. So we already know that on the priority scale, when it comes to a business owner's psyche, websites way above marketing. Marketing is an afterthought for most businesses. Okay. So if we're a marketing business and that's our bread and butter, we're kind of at a disadvantage coming in to a business owner when it's not a huge priority. And some businesses will get going. They'll have enough word of mouth that they just think that they can get on without it. Okay. So the last thing I want to do is I don't want to be fighting upstream every time I talk to a business owner about marketing and why they need it. Okay. I'd rather sell something that they already know that they need and want. And a website fits that. Now you may be saying, well, Jason, they already have a website. Yes, but remember what I said. How does the website come about? The website is thrown together usually with what they have when they launch. But just like you can't tell when someone's driving by in a car if they're happy with that car or if they're looking to trade it in or they'd like to upgrade their car, you can't look at a website, or just because a business has a website, you can't also make that assumption either. You don't know what they're thinking. And I'll tell you this, more times than not, a business, when they just launch, does everything they can just to get a website together. But as time goes on, they wish they had a better website, either because they've grown and changed, or it was thrown together and now they have some money to use, or whatever. So they value that website a little higher than marketing services. So that's why we start off our process using websites, but because it could be a pain in the butt, technically, to try to build websites, at least back in the day, it didn't make sense then. But now we have AI that can literally build it in minutes by me just typing a few things. Okay, so now it has come full circle and become the perfect foot in the door offer for us to get a conversation started with a business owner. We will then use that website to sell that, get in with the business owner. Once they've paid us for a website and become a client of ours, it's much easier to then talk to them about marketing services then versus trying to ram in the door with marketing services. Okay, so that's why it's a foot in the door offer. Now, how would we sell this? The perfect way to sell this, or what I feel is the perfect way, this is how I used to sell them, because I used to use this strategy well before AI. Back when it was WordPress, I found a local small business WordPress theme that was like $50 or something. So I just bought it, and you could reuse it as many times as you wanted. And it was the perfect like small business, local business website theme. And then I found someone who could build, like a Fiverr or something, that could build a WordPress 5-page website for $500 to $600. It was actually $400 to $600, somewhere in there, just depending on it. I gave him the theme and I said, here's what we're going to do. This. And so bottom line, the way it worked was I would sell using this website arbitrage strategy. And because I didn't want to have to pay money out of pocket and wait for a website to be delivered, I sold it this way. Okay. So first, it would be 50% down. I would ask for 50% down on the website. Okay. And then there would be 2 rounds of revisions. And then after that, final website delivery. And I would get the remaining 50%. Okay. This worked on multiple levels, and it benefited both me and the client, because first and foremost, 50% down, that benefits the client because they're not putting a lot. I'm not asking them for the pay it all up front and then, okay, I'll get it to you. Like, they're putting in half, showing commitment, and they understood that because I'm about to build them a website. And so it was easier for them to just pay half then and then half later instead of having to pay all at once. It was better for security and money management. Okay. On my side, it benefited because I sold these for $2,500. Okay. Now, what do I say? Come on. $2,500. Okay. Now, what do I say that we sell our websites for? Anywhere from $500 to $3,000. Okay. I sold mine for $2,500. So I would get $1,250 upfront. How much did I say it cost me to get a website built from my website guy? Okay. Let's just say 500. I would take from the $1,250, $500, give it to my website guy so that he can build my website. And then I put the rest of the money in my pocket. So I didn't have to pay to have the website built out of pocket whatsoever. And then he did these revisions, and we broke it up in 2 rounds. I would do a layout round, meaning you want this button over here. How do you want this? You want the contact form over there. Again, it was already a theme, so it was already kind of built. And so they would just give me feedback. Yeah, I like this. I like this. I want the links to go to the right side versus centered over the top. Just stuff like that, layout. Not anything to do with words or anything like that. Just how the website was laid out, functions and all that. Okay. And by the way, I didn't have to know how to do any of that stuff. Yeah, we kind of want this. Yeah, cool. All right. Email to my website guy. Hey, this is all the stuff they want done. Okay. First round of revisions would be done. Say, hey, here's the link. Check it out. All right, cool. All right. Next round is the content. What do you want things to say? And that's something I could upcharge. Like, well, can you write out a service page? We do want it, the feature, these services, here's our about. They would either give it, or I could, work out something to charge a little extra to write some of that content for them. Either way, the next round was getting content. And my website guy would upload that content to all the correct pages. And then here it is, all done. And then on delivery, the remaining $1,250. And guess what? All that money, I didn't need to pay anything else. I already paid my web designer. The rest went into my pocket. Okay. And so the client was happy because they didn't have to pay all this up front, and it gave them some security. Like, I'm investing a little, but I'm not going to give you the rest until the website's done. Hey, that's cool with me. I got money up front. From that money, was able to pay whoever I needed to pay to get the website actually done, to do the work. And the rest I just put in my pocket. Okay. And then they do all the work. And then at the end, I take the rest of the money and put all that in my pocket. Okay. So this is how we recommend you sell the websites. And I don't care what price it is. Okay. How do I tell you to handle pricing in the training? For those of you in the training, I tell you 500 to 3,000 is the easy range to sell these websites. Okay. And what determines that price? Your confidence level. When you're first starting off, you might find it hard to ask for $3,000, even though we already know most websites sell for $5,000 to $10,000 in the history of small business websites. That's just typically where they've been. Okay. So but even still, if you haven't sold anything, or you're nervous, or just getting started, you might find that nerve-wracking to sell $3,000 worth of something. Okay, cool. Then ask for 500. Start there. Get a website, and then once you get a couple sales at 500, then bump it to 1,000. And then once you get a couple at 1,000, bump it to 1,500. Okay, easy peasy. Don't overthink it. It's a nice, easy sliding scale that you can use, and you can use this website arbitrage strategy no matter what price you're selling it. Okay. It doesn't sound any more ridiculous at 500 than it does at 2,500. Okay. So just use it, and it gives you practice using this strategy, making that sale. Because then it's really easy to step up the price. Because when you ask for 3,000, you don't have to worry about them fighting you over having to pay 3,000. They have to pay 1,500 up front. That's it. And that's easy money for a business. It is. Most every business, even for websites, and even if they have no marketing budget, people find money for stuff that they need and want. Websites will always be a higher priority psychologically to a business owner. Okay. Make sense? All right. So that's how we handle the websites. Now let's talk about marketing services. Okay. Now I have the business ATM, right? So what is the business ATM? We've talked about that before in other videos, right? That is our combination of 4 services. Okay. That is message marketing. That is lead generation. That could be Facebook ads or Google ads. Okay. We have local SEO. Okay. Again, I'm showing higher in Google. Primary focus on the Google business profile as well. And then review management. Okay. So this is ultimately what I want to sell. By the way, email and text marketing is what message marketing is, right? For those of you that don't remember. All right. Now, we talk about it as a business ATM because all these services together provide a means for a business to essentially withdraw a certain amount of money every single month consistently for their business. Message marketing is the primary driver of that. Okay, it's the primary driver of that because it's an email and text marketing campaign to a list of people. That list is typically their customer and lead list. Okay, it might be a newsletter and their customers all combined into one, or you could just be hitting up just their customers or just their leads. But ultimately, it's every person that they have on a list. Okay, and all we're doing is we're sending that list every single month an offer in both an email and a text. So instead of just sending them an email with hey, 50% off our Botox services, you're also sending them a text with that too. You're hitting them in two spots. It increases the conversion rates because it increases the odds that they see the message. They don't see it on email, they'll probably see it on text. And very rare that they don't see it on text, but worst case, they miss the text, they potentially see it on email. You're just getting them in multiple spots. And it's really just that. It's really just one blast per month. Okay, there might be a couple follow-up emails to that saying, hey, don't forget about this, don't forget about this, and then maybe one last text. But it's very small, simple, little automated setup that I'm going to use to drive sales for any business. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is. Okay, and so if I just do that every single month, let's just say that they have 100 people on their list. Okay, say they have 100 people on this list. Okay. And so every single month I'm hitting them with an email and text. And let's just say on average, it turns out that about 30, let's just say 25% of the people on this list. So in this case, it's what? 25? Okay. Make a sale or do the sale. Or take the offer, whatever it is. Let's say it's 50% off Botox, whatever. So it's med spa that we're doing with. Okay. And what ends up happening, whether you send emails or texts, anyone who's ever done email marketing, you know, when you email a list, your open rates typically fall in a certain percent and they just always hang around in there. Sometimes you might have an email that gets a higher open rate, sometimes a little lower, but more times than not, your rates, your percentages, whether it's a conversion rate of some sort, whether it's a sale or whatever, typically falls in a range. Just the way it ends up happening. Okay. So let's just say on average, it's 25%. So every month that you email an offer, message marketing with a text and an email, you're going to get about 25 sales. Cool. Okay. So this is an awesome service. It's going to pay and it's consistent every single month. I already know if my average offer is $100 and I get 2,500 or 25 people buying that offer or getting that offer or getting that service every single month, it's 2,500. So you could almost nearly guarantee going forward that they're going to make $2,500 a month. Again, we're just using numbers to show you how this works. Well, if I want to grow this number, if it ends up turning in that on average, 25% of people take the offer, okay, and the offers tend to range in a certain money range. If I try to up the dollar amounts of the offers, I may see this go down. But I still may end up around 2,500. So I could end up being stagnant here, which is fine if nothing else changed. But how can I affect change here? Well, the easiest way is to put more people on this list. So that's where these other services come in. Lead gen, I'm getting a lot more leads that end up on this list. Some people will buy right away. That's cool. But the real value is putting more names on the list so that maybe in the upcoming month, instead of 100, there's 200 people on here. We're just using easy numbers. maybe it's 150, 125, it doesn't matter. It goes up. So instead of 100, we have 200 people. And our message marketing campaign hits. Ah, crap. It's still only 25%. We couldn't raise it. Yeah, but what's 25% of 200? So instead of 25 buyers, we now have 45 buyers. I think that's right. No, sorry. We have 50. Now we have 50 people buying instead of 25. You see how that works? What just happened? This number is going to go up. We get them showing higher in the Google search results. More people are going to find this business, more leads, more customers. This list keeps growing. So now we have lead gen, we have local SEO, and this is growing 100 people a month now. So now it's 300 people the next month, right? Or whatever. Might not grow that fast, but you get the point. The number goes up. This percent stays the same every time we do the campaign, but the amount of people on the list keeps going up. So this percent produces more money because more people buy. Does that make sense? You guys understand the power of what we're doing here and how it all really works, what we're really doing, the secret to our marketing, how we're different than everyone else, how we talk about it different than everyone else, why this works and other people's stuff typically falls flat and is junk. Okay. Review management comes in. It doesn't necessarily add directly people to this list because it's not necessarily a lead generation. But what it does is it builds trust. So when people see our ads, when people see us in Google and they decide to quickly do a check of our business, the reviews, because we've gotten them more positive reviews, strengthens the trust of the business, which means more people convert and turn into leads and or customers. Right? Okay, so do you understand how all that works? And then, so now, how do we sell this? Well, for one, we know that we can talk about it as a system, that we have our ATM service, the message marketing, and what we're looking to do is get that implemented so we can talk about it, about them making consistent withdrawals from their business every single. It's like going to a business ATM every single month and making withdrawal. Okay, we want to get that going first because that's instant money for you. That's an immediate ATM withdrawal. And then what we want to do is we want to start looking to make those withdrawals bigger month after month after month. The easiest way for me to pivot to this is I have two options, right? I just sold a website. My next immediate question is, all right, cool. Well, now the website's done. What are you all doing to bring in new customers? What are you going to do? What are you doing to get new eyeballs on this website? Okay, yeah. Well, I do that. I do those types of services as well. How about we get together and have a conversation tomorrow at 2 p.m. You can share a little bit more about what you guys are doing and what you guys' thoughts are about that. I can share about what I actually do to help you get more, to help businesses get new customers and get eyeballs on websites. And then we can just go from there. So I have the pivot now to easily discuss marketing. And it makes sense. It's the next logical step. I just sold the website. Now, how do we get eyeballs on that website? What are you doing? What do you got going on that's bringing in regular people, right? And even if they say they have stuff, it's okay. It's an opportunity for me to share what I have going on. Okay, that's option one. Option two, what I used to do is, you know what else this deal included right here? I'm going to put it up here since I didn't leave room because I didn't plan ahead. $30 days free marketing included. It was just part of the website deal. So the natural transition of moving to marketing was already built into my contract. or built into my process, my selling process. And it sweetened the deal on this. Oh shit, I get free marketing. Okay. Now, what I used to do is I would do, because I wasn't as savvy as I am now, come on, is I would do lead generation, typically like something like PPC, sometimes Facebook ads. So I could get leads and show leads. But what do you think now I would offer? Yes. And this big mess of stuff, message marketing. I would offer a campaign there, a free campaign, part of it. And by the way, I've already gotten paid. I got money in my pocket. So even if it goes nowhere else, I'm cool. I got money. Cool. I'll move on to the next customer. And now I have someone I can always come back to and just check in on. But if not, but if the better answer unfolds where they're like, yeah, let's rock and roll. And I build this in. Well, now I already have this built in to show them, just like I do with the website, show them the results ahead of time. Say, hey, do you want this website? I can now do a campaign. They can see the results. It's an easy continuation sell. And I sell this, and then I can start selling the other things. Okay. And that's all I'm doing. Starting with one foot in the door, just like I did with the website, to get my foot in the door with this client in general so that I can then start selling other things. Well, I'm going to do the same thing in the services. I'm not going to try to, I can talk about the concept of the business ATM, but I'm not going to try to shove it all down their face if they don't want it. I can easily say, let's start with the main, basically the ATM. Let's get the ATM. Let's get a withdrawal from the ATM right away. That's how I can start this. Okay. And your answer, what if they don't have a list, right? That's the easy answer. Okay. Well, then the priority then is let's start building that list. I mean, you can see how powerful it is. I'm going to recommend we get started with lead gen right away. You just pivot and sell your lead gen. Okay. Now, last but not least, of our AI pillars, we talk about like AI receptionists, the AI people piece. Okay. Here's how I would sell that. Because this is one of those things, a see to believe kind of thing. Like once they see the power of like an AI receptionist handling appointments and like handling inquiries and stuff like that, you can sell it straight out. Because what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the business ATM in place, because once I got this in place and they're definitely making money and stuff from appointments and all that, they're going to keep paying you for a very long time. It's easy to then sell them anything and everything after that. Okay. But this can easily be sold as part of the business ATM, because they may say, well, I can't, we're getting a lot of leads. I can't handle them. Cool. Hey, I have something for you. I have a solution for you. Basically, I have an AI receptionist, which is basically a robot that's going to work in your business, but people won't be able to tell it's a robot. And they'll be handling all your inquiries and helping get those appointments booked, so that you can just focus on running your business and not have to worry about any of these leads falling through the cracks, or any of these appointments falling through the cracks. Your AI receptionist, who never gets sick and is going to work 24 hours for you, will handle all that for you. Okay. And so it can just be part of that package, or this is something to easily install as a trial. Hey, let's get this up and running and show you how powerful this is, and then let it run for 30 days. Remember, I've already gotten paid. So the rest is just implementing as fast as getting things running inside their business as fast as I can to show the power of the results. Okay, so AI receptionist and even the business ATM, I would argue, are easy sells after I get my foot in the door. Business ATM a little bit harder because there's a bunch of services. But again, if I start it with the business ATM effect and start with the ATM service, the message marketing, everything else is easy to build on that. And that's the way I always typically want to sell my services as well, is I want to build it around this ATM concept. Why? Because if I just go in guns blazing, like some people do, is like, hey, I can do Facebook ads for you. And they just come in and they try to shove Facebook ads down someone's face because that's all they offer, or that's all they're comfortable with, or that's all that they want to do. Well, guess what happens if your Facebook ad performance dips, or it's slow to get started? Because sometimes campaigns don't just magically work like you would hope so, or like we all would hope so. Sometimes they take a little warming up, and you have to test and do a little testing to find the right images and videos and whatnot to use to get it to convert. What if that happens first? And because that's all you've sold, and you've sold it on this basis of, hey, I'm going to get all these leads and I'm going to, these leads, and leads turn into sales. And because you sold it on that basis, that's all they're looking at. And if you have a slow start or a dip performance, you're always on the chopping block for those services unless you can communicate effectively and you have an understanding client. If I sell based on the business ATM aspect, first and foremost, message marketing, the most powerful service ever. It's essentially email marketing, which we already know is a super powerful service. It's one of the best services ever in the history of marketing, ever. And now we've added texts to it, which is the highest open rate messaging marketing that you could ever do. And so text marketing is super powerful, but working together, this is an unstoppable force that gets results. Okay. And so I have that thing to base it on, but if I'm not able to sell that first and have to pivot, as long as if I'm selling it on the basis of growing this list in terms of, well, let's get my lead gen service will help get that list going. Now, another benefit of that is a small percentage of these leads will actually make an appointment and or purchase services as part of their initial process of them, right off initially. We'll get some of those, a small percent. But what's really cool is regardless if they buy right away or not, they're all going into the ATM so that we can make a withdrawal in our upcoming ATM campaigns. I'm selling it now instead of this is going to save your business and give you all kinds of sales and revenue. Two, it's just supporting our ATM service, which I already know works and has a high conversion rate. They're not living and dying on leads turning into sales right away like everyone else sells it. No, it's just a supporting service that's growing the list. Sales are an extra gravy cool bonus. So now I'm teaching them not to depend on the leads to turn into sales and magic money out of the sky like everyone else on the planet sells lead gen. Do you understand that? Do you understand the message I just gave you and how powerful that is compared to what everyone else is, what every other method would cause you to do? It would cause you to oversell lead gen as a service and set yourself up for failure for losing that client in the first 30 days. I've now just given you the way that you've turned lead gen into this savior service as now it's a supporting role for your real superstar, the message marketing. So if they can't get a message marketing campaign get up right away, month one, you get started on lead gen, and month two, you're now able to sell and start message marketing, which is your real star, which is going to turn a lot of these leads into actual appointments and sales. Make sense? And that is how you navigate the different pillars of an AI agency, right? Our foot in the door, the brand piece, the AI websites, right? Selling that using the website arbitrage strategy. And then we can easily pivot once we've delivered a website, especially if we build marketing into our website arbitrage sale contract. We have 30 days free marketing. Well, what I want that to be is my message marketing campaign. So now I've bridged the gap between the website and the services and just made it seamless. It's just natural part of the progression. And now it's easy to get my services sold. And my AI receptionist can be a part of that, or it could be something separate. But literally all I have to do, because it's so powerful, is just get it set up and implemented. So I can do that on a trial basis, or be sold as part of a package with the services. Okay. And that's how I navigate and sell all the pieces of the services that I offer categories of services that I offer as an AI agency. Cool.